All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Summit Podcast. We're throwing it back today and checking back in with one of the guys that helped us build this thing from the start. I think he was our number 6 podcast episode, but I have to look. But what I do know is he's the second most viewed podcast of all time on the Summit. So we're here with Jamie Logan, and you guys remember him from 2 years ago. We did the podcast upstairs. We're set up down here now. This is our second one in this space. It might actually air first before the other one. And if you didn't catch it, I'll let you know Jamie's struggling with Parkinson's disease, and he has for 4 years now.
Diagnosed in 2018, but started really having symptoms probably in 2016.
Yeah, 2016. So yeah, I remember you talking about your shoulder.
Yeah, and my foot and my hand.
Yeah. Well, welcome back. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to see you. You know, you're still fighting the fight, man. And you know, we've talked over the last couple of years. We don't talk all the time, but we hang out. We get together. We've gone to dinner and check in. And you know, he'll text me every once in a while. How's everything going? And still working, still kicking ass and taking names, and going to the gym every day. So I guess let's just kind of roll it back. And you know, how have things gone since the last time you were on?
Well, I mean, they've certainly had their ups and downs. I mean, obviously, you know, having Parkinson's is one of these types of diseases that on a day-to-day basis, it can really range from being super bad to not so bad to being okay.
Yeah.
So it's like you never want to get this like false sense of security that like things are really getting better, because then you turn around the next day and it's 10 times worse than it was the day before. So I call it, like, and probably said before, it's like my little science project between my food, between stress, between day of time, what I eat. Literally everything is affected by my disease.
You're having to manage it on a high level.
Yeah, very, very cognizant of, like, you know, my body, like what I feel, how I'm feeling, really keeping tuned in to, you know, really just trying to put myself in the best positions possible and minimizing things that I know they're going to flare it up or make things worse.
What's sleep like? I know you said you're up early, but are you up during the night?
Sleep is not good. That's yeah. I mean, just to kind of give you, for instance, like a couple weeks ago, I went to bed at 10 at night, woke up at 12 at night, and didn't get back to sleep till 10 the next day.
Wow.
At night.
Yeah.
So I was, you know, virtually up almost 24 hours or right around that.
Holy cow. So, I mean, you mentioned diet, nutrition, and stuff like that. I mean, you're still going to the gym. So, like, I know you mentioned today you've been doing squats. Last time when I ran into you before, you had an AFO, you know, what they call that, on your foot to help with your foot, but you're not doing that now. So
yeah, so basically I had an AFO, which is like a carbon fiber custom-made foot orthotic, because I was having like drop foot issues, and I was having a lot of issues with my knee hyperextending. And so part of the reason that I wasn't doing squats was obviously because of that, but I've also had shoulder problems, so I actually physically couldn't grab the bar. So I've been doing a lot of like work on stretching. I went to the main balance center, which shout out to them. They were amazing. And then I went for personal training and done like PT and everything else under the sun. So I finally got my shoulder in a place that I could squat, and I started doing squats. And then sure enough, you know, month or however long later, I was just like, geez, I stopped kind of wearing the AFO as much, and just my knee wasn't hurting, and I was able to walk better and not have to wear it.
Okay. What do you find are the hardest things to do, say, now versus a couple of years ago?
I mean, anytime that I'm like off meds, so in the morning or at night, like regardless of what it is, it's difficult. Other than that, I mean, for one thing that I try to do is go roller skating.
Yeah.
Used to roller skate back in the day, Tuesday, Thursday. Oh, shoot the duck! Yeah, at Happy Wheels in Scarborough and on Warren Ave.
And so, rabbit's foot on the
absolutely, you're playing the video games. Yeah. So I got the skates on. I literally got out to the rink, and my legs froze.
No kidding.
I literally stood there, and I'm like, I can't do anything.
Wow.
So I literally grabbed the rail and pulled myself all the way around the rink, and got off, took the skates off, walked up to the place, and I said, you know, I can't skate. Do you mind if I get my money back? And they were like, sure. And so I sat there and watched.
Yeah.
It was a little disheartening. I mean, obviously there's, you know, like I used to do triathlons, and you know, for those of you who know, I mean, we used to train back in the day, so that clearly has been gone for a while. But Yeah, it was pretty sad to try something so what would to most people would seem so trivial and so easy to do. You know, granted, people may fall because they're not used to it, but like I played hockey and coached hockey, and you know,
good on your feet.
Yeah, I used to rollerblade, roller skate, and so I thought there'd be no problem. But literally, I got out there and it was like my feet were in quicksand and would not move.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said disheartening. So talk to me about the mental side of this whole thing. Like being a fairly young guy and being faced with this illness that, you know, you're in the fight of your life.
Yeah, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's like a major kick right in the balls.
Yeah.
You know, I think people take for granted what they can or have the ability to do, which I probably did somewhat, but, you know, certainly now, absolutely not. Like, every minute that I have, like, how I discovered that I really had it was from dancing. So even now, like, when I go places that there's the opportunity to dance, you know, people will be like, "You're going to dance?" I'm like, I don't know if my legs are going to let me. So it's like, if I can, then great, I do.
Yep.
But yeah, it's disheartening to know, you know, the long list of things that like I just can't do, or that it's just become so difficult to do that I just don't even bother to try.
What is something that you do that you get some enjoyment out of that you can still do and you like to get out and bang around and do?
Laying out.
Laying out in the sun?
In the sun.
Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures. You want to stay off his Instagram. You want to see that.
Well, or you might. I mean, you know, I'd say that like my life has not become more simple, but like I think I find more enjoyment in maybe some of the simpler things in life, like just spending time with people and you know, getting out of the house and just not being at home. Because truthfully, I mean, I could stay home all day, every day, and not go and do anything, and would be just as content, because it just, you know, between exhaustion or just, you know, not feeling great.
What's a bad day?
Mostly pain.
Yeah.
You know, or discomfort, like, you know, between like trying to sleep, like my hip hurts, so I have to constantly like roll over, and like, you know, like I'll have pain in like my arm or my hand will cramp up, or, you know, just different stuff like that.
And what equals a good day? Is it like, hey, I'm on top of the world, or hey, nothing really is making me too miserable today?
Yeah, it's kind of like the scale of, wow, this really sucks, this doesn't suck too bad, and that's pretty much about it. Like, you know, if I were to really look back and say, you know, back like in my triathlon days, you know, going to the gym for 2 hours, doing like extremely hard workouts, you know, training with you guys, you know, going to ride 50 miles and hopping off the bike and going to run for 3 miles, like that would have been a good day. Like now it's like, okay, if I can get to the gym and do what I can do for 35 or 45 minutes, like that's a success. One of the things that I found out is that I'm truly a creature of habit. So was at the gym one day and was like, I'm gonna throw some kettlebells in there. Bad idea. Because basically what happened is for the next week and a half or two, I couldn't go to the gym because my back was so messed up that like I literally couldn't even like get out of bed. Yeah, well,
and so what I was going to talk about next was routine. Like you are a creature of habit. So has it forced you to just stay in that same routine and not veer off, or are you able to throw some different
Well, here's the thing. If I do throw anything in different, I pay for it. So I you know, that's part of like the self-awareness. Like I'm keenly aware that the things that I do on a day-to-day basis affect me down the line, whether it's later in the day or a day or two later. So I do really try and stay very regimented, especially with the medicine.
Yeah.
So like if I fall off or I don't go to the gym in the morning, then my med schedule's screwed up, and then I start my meds later in the day, and then that affects me for the rest of the day. So I do try and stick to the routine.
We'll talk about the meds a little bit. I mean, Parkinson's treatment, I mean, is always evolving.
Yeah.
Right? They can do some things today they couldn't do 25, 30 years ago, but you're on a lot of meds. What are the side effects, and how does that all go?
Yeah, so the side effects are many. You know, namely, you know, it can really mess your stomach up. I mean, I've had instances where I like break out in like a full-on sweat, like right through my sweatshirt. Yeah. It hasn't really happened lately, so you know, who knows why? But yeah, that's primarily the biggest side effect. And obviously, with the advances in you know, care and whatnot, you know, leads me into actually in the protocol right now for the deep brain stimulation, which is the basically they drill a hole in your head and stick a wire in that's got a battery pack in your chest that sends signals to basically help to help function so that you don't have to take as many meds.
Is that a trial or is it?
No, they've actually been doing it for, God, I want to say like 20-something years.
Yeah.
But obviously, the technology and the way that they do it has certainly gotten better.
Mm-hmm. That's unreal. So you're in line to have that done, or you're scheduled, or what's going on?
Yeah, so basically what it is they have a lot of protocols that you have to go through in testing to basically see if you're an ideal candidate. So when to kind of take it back, so I go to the neurologist 4 times a year. So the last time I was there, I had actually brought in a video to show my neurologist of like me at home shaking and, basically looking like I was doing gang signs because my hands were just going crazy.
Yeah.
And, all of this is just, involuntary. And so when he saw it, he was kind of like, oh, geez, I didn't realize that, it had progressed this far because, admittedly, I'm only in there, at a certain amount of time and I'm usually always on like my meds at a good point. So my functioning is pretty good. So once he saw it, he kind of, had mentioned the deep brain stimulation. So,
You mentioned you have that video, right?
I do.
So what I'll try to do is embed that in this video. So if you guys hear some silence in this, if you're only listening to it, right here is where we're going to put that video. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, in talking to him, he said, hey, well, if you are interested, what we can do is put you through the protocol. And basically the protocol is that I had to go in off my meds for 12 hours. So they wanted to do like a baseline testing of like, I do all of these little things and, movement type stuff and walk. And they want to see like, how my body looks off meds. And then I take the meds and then like an hour and a half or 2 later or whatever it was, an hour, I do all the testing again so that they can see, baseline versus, on your medicine, like what the difference is. Because obviously part of it is that they want somebody who has, a response to the meds, and can see that there's a huge decline when you're not on them. So once they do that, then you have to go in for a psych eval, which is like 4 hours of just getting grilled with questions of, hey, they're reading a story, and then you've got to repeat back like some of the story, and then there's numbers and just all these different, neurological testings. Because admittedly, going in and when I was talking to them, I really felt like cognitively like I had been on a little bit of a decline, but from what they said, that I was actually at the level or better than the majority of the people my age. So,
well, we grabbed lunch before this and chatted. You sharp as a tack, man.
Yeah.
I didn't notice anything.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. But I think probably the biggest thing is like I'm my own worst critic.
Sure.
Because it's hard truly not to like look at yourself and, I won't say beat yourself up, but I know that like what I have is not good. And
it ain't going away.
No, it's not going away. So I think probably more than anything, I'm just harder on myself than anything as far as that stuff's concerned.
Tell me about these here.
These are my Jordan 5s.
So, Ryan took the book, but I got to get to the book that a friend of mine, Chris Welton, wrote a book called One Jordan.
Oh.
And it's about how to connect with high-level people. And so the approach he takes, he got from another guy, Brad Lee, an influential person in the personal development world. And he sends one Jordan to somebody that he wants to connect with. Like he sent one to Ed Milet.
Oh, that's so cool.
With a note that says, I'd like 15 minutes of your time. Give me a call and I'll send you the other shoe.
Oh, that's so cool.
I should connect you with him because he's a Jordan freak.
Yeah.
I know this is a man who likes his shoes, all right? And you've always got, you always look good.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're always jazzed right up. If I wore that, I think somebody just put the knuckles to me, But you wear it well.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's got some style. So, well, here we are. We looked at it was February, 22nd or something, 2 years ago when we sat down originally.
Yeah, it seems like it's been yesterday and forever ago.
Yeah,
I think there's just been a lot of changes in my health, obviously, and just 2 years gone by, and it's just like wow, I can't believe it's been that long or that quick.
Yeah, what's been your worst moment?
In the last 2 years. I don't know. I don't really. I guess I try not to like dwell on any of the bad moments. It's easy to do. I could literally on a day-to-day basis just look at all the negativity and really drown in that. But at the end of the day, like I mean, do you drown in negativity or look for something positive and, try and look at the brighter side of things? I mean, and like I said in the last podcast, I mean, I could certainly have things worse and I certainly could have things better.
But sure, you have days where they are, and that's, pretty cool perspective, To be able to, a lot of people will fold their tent.
Yeah, I have my moments. I mean, trust me. I mean, and they're usually by myself or in my own mind or at night when I wake up. But at the end of the day, I mean, you just gotta forge through and keep at it.
Well, you're an inspiration to many, and I got a lot of feedback when we did that podcast before. And, I mean, people that'll see this, everybody's dealing with something.
Oh, totally.
This is
next level.
This is next level, and this isn't something that you don't outrun this, and but it can't change your attitude if you don't let it.
No.
You can't change your perspective. You can't break your spirit if you don't let it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like your mind is your best friend and it's your worst enemy. It depends on how you're gonna let your mind control you. I mean, to be honest, do I want to get up at the gym and go 5 every day? No, I'd rather stay in bed every single day because it's a chore. Like, I mean, when I get up in the morning, I'm doing the Frankenstein shuffle. Like, my legs typically aren't really working. I got to take my meds and get to the gym. And, some days are just better than others, but I know that it's the best thing for me, and it's I do like to think that I do motivate people at the gym. Even maybe silently or just by osmosis by being there, because like you said, everybody's got something, and there's probably people there that are like, F this, I don't want to come, but look, this guy's got Parkinson's and he's here every day, so why can't I be here?
Right, exactly. No, I mean, took the words right out of my mouth. That's awesome. So you're able to get a workout in. You're on the bike.
Typically ride the bike. I do weights because obviously that's having a muscular and muscular strength is good for this. It's if I don't, I definitely can tell and I definitely feel it because it's a lot of it's that you're just so tight that if I don't go to work out, like I just don't get my muscles moving, and then it's just tight for a couple hours.
Yeah. How's Nikki doing?
She's doing amazing. My rock. I mean, she's a godsend and super supportive and is really there to keep me on track and motivated because there's times where I'm not wanting to do stuff, or she'll be like, all right, come on, babe, and then there's times where she'll try and hold me back because things
doing too much,
doing a little bit too much. But the biggest thing is she's just understanding. I mean, a perfect example of that is a couple of weeks ago, I literally slept for like 17 hours on a Sunday because I was just absolutely exhausted. I felt terrible, but she's like, I just knew you needed to sleep, so I just let you sleep.
Yeah, just needed the rest.
Cumulative of effects, and just it all built up, and just all of a sudden that Sunday was the day that my body said, you're gonna lay on this couch or in this bed all day long and not do anything else.
And that's what you did.
That's what I did.
Yeah, you gotta do. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to get through it. So tell me more about the your upcoming surgery and what you hope to have from that, and what do you expect for quality of life beyond that? Is it take you off some meds? Or?
Yeah. So basically, the next step is I have to meet with the surgeon in June, and really I think that's the time frame that they'll verify that everything's good to go, and then I'll be able to get it, and then obviously get a date. What I'm expecting from it, I mean. Like I told them when I was in the process, even 10 or 20 or 30% lessening of symptoms is well worth it. But I'm hoping that it's going to be more than that. Obviously, I'm optimistic, but I mean, it's getting drilled in your brain, so there's certainly risks, but it should be interesting. The biggest thing that most people probably wouldn't know is you're actually awake for the surgery. So like you're wide awake and they're so you can feel the So I'm gonna actually ask them if they can videotape it for me.
Oh, neat! Yeah, we won't air that one. Holy cow!
Yeah. So they basically the first they drill in like 4 holes to put like a halo on you, and then they have you set up, and then they drill the hole, and then put the electrode in, and then they test it by like having you do stuff like while you're there, and then the next part of the surgery is that you go back in and. There's a line that like goes down through your like neck and to your chest where the battery pack is that they can make the adjustments and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Funny side note, like I was actually looking at like things that you can't do, like through the airport. I won't be able to go through security anymore. I have to pat down.
That gets their attention.
Yeah, because I guess from the magnetics from the the machine can like turn it or shut it off, turn it on or shut it off. So any type
round this way, sir.
Yeah, so I get the free feel up.
yeah, you do.
Yeah,
but TSA pre-check.
And I guess from what I read, it said that you're not supposed to go in like hot tubs, saunas, anything like that.
You're probably not doing a ton of that anyway, are you?
No, but it's like anything.
One more limitation.
Yeah, if it's available, I would definitely do it. But I mean, my trade-off is quality of living or going in a hot tub. I mean, I don't have one, so it's,
Yep. So I mean, still working hard and all that. So what do you do for free time, enjoyment? Like if you got a free day on a Saturday, what are you doing?
I mean, we like to go for drives. Take our dog to the beach. Just relaxing more than anything.
Yeah.
It's primarily the main thing on the menu. But going to the beach, going out to dinner, going down to the Old Port, having a cocktail or whatever, chilling outside. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's just there's only so much I can do. And it's like if I have to be awake and cognitive for work, and it's just hard to do too much extra. But still like to go to the dance every now and again and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, boy's a dancer, I'll tell you. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're not missing anything on the triathlon scene. None of these guys that were doing much, doing a lot of it when you were, have done much lately. So Dave's down in Florida, and Pat, I don't think is doing much with it. So, but we had a lot of fun.
Great times.
Yeah. Competed.
Bringing the scale to the pool and all of us weighing in.
Making fun of each other. We did a lot of camaraderie, a lot of accountability.
Yeah. I mean, if it's the middle of winter, you're getting up to go swim at 5 a.m, and
you're bringing a scale.
Yeah, and you got a good crew of people. I mean, it's
we wouldn't have had to bring the scale if not for Bracken.
Yes.
Because everybody just be honest about what it says, but he would lie through his teeth.
Yeah.
So we had to bring it and keep him honest.
Get in the groceries.
Get in the groceries. Yeah. Yep. So what's next, man? I mean, how are the kids and how's everybody around you? And
I mean, everybody's great. I mean, my kids are crazy how old they are. It's just amazing that they're got their own lives and that their age that they're at. But yeah, other than that, just my dad's still around, so it's he's still riding his motorcycle and comes over and let the dog out for us and visits with the cat and just living life.
Well, it's cool, and I know I don't even have to ask, but I know that you're living with some urgency, right? Because you just don't hey, tomorrow you wake up and something doesn't work the way it should, or it's just going off in a direction. So I know you truly mean it when you say, hey, every day is a blessing and I get to do what I get to do today.
Yeah, it is. I think probably the toughest thing about this disease is there's really no timetable.
Yeah.
There's no set book and there's no game plan. It's kind of like becoming a parent. You can read all the books you want, but until it actually happens, you don't really know what it's going to be like. So for me, it's the unknown. In a year or 2, 5, 10, 15. I mean, who knows?
Right.
End up with dementia or Alzheimer's, but you don't really know until it starts happening.
Those are all cousins, right, of Parkinson's?
Yeah, I mean, they all can
kind of
go in the same pod and get mixed up. But, I mean, compared to 2 years ago, the amount of dyskinesia and, dystonia that I have is, way more than I had before. I barely shook before at all.
Yeah.
So that's probably, the biggest change for me between then and now.
So the meds keep that under control, the shaking?
It's actually funny.
Yeah.
So the meds actually can make it worse.
Really?
Yeah, so what will happen is with carbidopa, levodopa, it helps you to move, but then it also can make you move when you don't want to.
Right.
So it's like a double-edged sword of having that fine balance of, moving and, not moving when you don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite a balancing act, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, basically, in the morning I take 3 pills, and then in the afternoon I take 6 pills, and then at night I take another whatever it is. So I mean, it's 3 times a day of 4 or 5 meds. Every day.
Crazy to keep up with.
Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, but I just leave them on my counter, and just bang, bang,
do it. You got to do it, right? What's the alternative, right?
Yeah, and then I have a little pill container that I bring with me, so when I go places that I don't forget it.
Have it.
Yeah, gotta have it.
You got a good team around you,
Yeah, I mean, all my doctors and my close personal friends have all been great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it takes a village. I mean, obviously there's a whole care team involved with this.
Yeah.
My PCP and my neurologist and any type of physical therapist or orthopedic people that I've seen and everybody's been great. So, with that part, I can't complain.
Yeah, something you probably don't go too many weeks without some sort of appointment, right?
Yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I'm always going to the doctor at some point or another.
Get any massage? Does massage help or hurt?
It helps, but it's one of those things where, for me,
you can pay for it.
Yeah, you got to pay for it. Plus, it's kind of such a short term thing that it's like even like a day or two later, it's like I don't even know that.
Yeah. Huh. We're gonna teach Nikki how to do that daily then.
Yeah, and I mean, I did some chiropractic stuff, and it's kind of the same thing. It does help, but unfortunately, it's just so expensive. Even with insurance, it's between my meds and everything else that I have, it's just it's unfortunate that it's just so costly.
Yeah, there's a huge. I mean, you get something like this, and you got insurance and all that, but there's just such a huge financial impact.
Oh, totally.
To it that it's changed your life, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I was really to put in all the different things that would help me to be at peak condition, I mean, I'd be spending thousands a month. So then it's like, what's the the payback to the cost ratio? It's like,
right.
I don't know, it's tough.
Right.
And obviously with groceries and everything else being so expensive.
Well, right, you got to live.
Yeah.
So, you got to have it at a place where, not that you're at peace with it, but like I said, it's not going anywhere. You're going to be here a while. You're dealing with it. You're throwing haymakers at it every day, man. I applaud you. I respect you. I love you. You're just a beacon of hope for a lot of people that are looking at stuff and might be giving up.
Yeah.
And
don't make me well up, Bob. Jeez.
Well, they might see you at the gym and you're on the bike and you're doing stuff. We're going to do another one of these too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and like I said before, I mean, there's always somebody that's got it worse. I mean, I think I don't know if I told the story the last time, but when I did get the AFO, I'm in there like, I'm saying to myself, God, this really sucks. And then I look over and there's a guy that had his leg amputated who's getting fitted for a prosthesis and learning how to walk with that. So I'm like,
guess I can handle this.
Well, I guess the AFO isn't all that bad. I mean, it still sucks, but,
Guaranteed there's somebody watching this that didn't go to the gym this morning and sees you and hears you talk about, not wanting to go to the gym, but you still get up and do it. You are impacting people whether you know it or not.
Yeah, I think the thing for a lot of people too is I don't think that they realize like the emotional and mental benefits to it. I think a lot of people just kind of always look at the physical, like I don't want to go to the gym, or I do want to go, but it's not always necessarily physical. I mean, for me, it's maybe a little bit more physical than most people, but just even going to the gym and feeling like you've accomplished something, or like you've set a goal to like, hey, this week I can only bench, 65 pounds. Well, I'm going to make sure that I'm in here so that I can bench 95 pounds or whatever the case is. I mean, you make little small goals, or, even do it like day to day with yourself. Like, I don't care about the next rest of the month. Today is the day that I'm going to make sure that I go to the gym, or make sure that I eat properly, or make sure that I do this. And it's like, if you break it down into smaller chunks, it's not so overwhelming.
Right.
Like it's easy to look to the future and say, oh, well, geez, how am I going to get to this point that seems so far away? Well, it's like you're going to get to that date anyway. Right. But between the day you have today and the day that you have then, you have lots of choices that you can either make or not make. So it's what am I going to do this minute, this hour, this day that's going to change what I did yesterday? In a positive direction that that somebody's wanting to go in anyway.
Well, I mean, you guys have heard me talk about continual peak performance. I talked about it on my live last night. We talked about it on our peak small group coaching platform last night. Continued peak performance. And when you think about that for a minute, you think about somebody doing something at a high level. Your high level is different.
Yeah,
all right.
Everybody's high level is different.
This is a peak performer. You guys are looking at a badass right here. All right, he's a peak performer because he's taking something that it's trying to have a cap on him, and you keep slamming up against it every day. And you're just as one of my coaches, Ben Newman, says, pounding the stone.
Yep.
And you're just pounding the stone. Every day you're showing up and you're pounding the stone. And there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I like to think and say is, it's think of what you can do, not what you can't do. Because, I mean, obviously, like, at this point, like, could I really go run or do certain things? Well, no. But, like, what can I do that's going to, push me forward into a better spot than what I'm in today? And it's, I think for anybody or people out there that are struggling with that kind of stuff, I mean, look at it like that. It's like, obviously, like, people would love to go do an Ironman, but, that's a huge lofty goal. Start with a sprint, start with a smaller chunk and, work up to that.
True. You have to do that on a daily basis. Start with just getting out of bed.
Yeah, just getting there.
Start with like, hey, let's get in front of the computer and see what we got.
Yep.
All right, we're good to go. Things are cooking. Let's go for a few hours to see what happens, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Constantly reevaluating.
Yeah, reevaluating, readjusting. Having that conversation with yourself, and just being really aware of like where you're at, mentally and physically. Because for me, it's like way more of like a connective piece than I think maybe it was before. I like to always think that I, mentally and physically was more connected, but now it's really like, right in my face, because it's like everything that I do, is affecting both sides of it,
right?
Positively and or negatively, depending upon what it is.
Well, I've been asking all the people on my podcast, like, what's their edge? You've heard that from me lately. My social media stuff. Where's your edge? Find your edge. Let me help you find your edge as a coach and everything. And to me, people say, what is the edge? And I say, well, it's how you show up. It's how do you show up different than that other guy? And what do you go to when the shit hits the fan? That's what I always ask people. So I'd ask you, you've gone through a lot here. What would you say that your edge is?
Maybe part stubborn, part, it's like I think of like the things that I used to like to do, and it's like, I want to try and, keep mirroring or, keep as close to that as possible. Obviously, it's, not really feasible, but I still know that there's some good days and some good years left in me, and it's just trying to, find that happiness and that peace and, doing different things that are going to, make myself or, my family happy, and, just trying to be, not so necessarily happy with my situation, because obviously no one wants to have Parkinson's, but within that space, where am I going to feel the best?
Right. Putting yourself in a good spot every day, as good as you can.
As good as I can, yeah. And realizing that, like maybe at 8 o'clock in the morning and 12 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, all three different spots.
Yeah.
There's days where like, 6 or 7 o'clock, like I'm ready to hit the bed, and, some days I'm not. So it's, just kind of, being flexible and realizing that like, it's a kind of a greater thing than just myself, that, I've got to really just pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah. Well, second most viewed podcast in the history of the Summit podcast. So there's no doubt this one is going to take right off. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this. There are people watching this that are dealing with some of their own things, right? Everybody's dealing with something.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody that's dealing with a challenge, that's facing some adversity, and can either choose to rise up like you have, or bury their head in the sand?
I'd say the first thing is have a kind heart. Like, my perspective has certainly changed, and I was a nice person before. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I was a dick, but I just think that like going through this, it's like you're saying, is like everybody's got something. So like, even like when I'm driving down the street, like, and I see like, homeless people or whatever the case is, I'm like, I wonder what their story is like.
Right.
What aren't you seeing? So it's like, you see somebody at the gym. Like, perfect example is like, I always make a joke. Like, I'm like, I can only, at this point, when my shoulder was really bad, I'm like, I can only bench like 25-pound dumbbells. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what are people thinking that I'm doing at the gym with 25-pound dumbbells? And then I'm like, who cares? Like, it'd be the same thing like if somebody was working through an injury and like I'm looking at them, instead of saying, geez, that guy looks buff or big and he's only doing this, well, maybe he's got something he's got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think just having a kind heart is, probably the first thing. The next thing is, give yourself some space to realize that, the situations that you have, are probably really shitty, and, giving yourself a little bit of flexibility to realize that, it isn't great. But at the end of the day, you just have to battle it. You got to take it head on, really try and get a good, group of people around you that are really going to try and support you and like push you into the correct direction. And, just sometimes it takes time. If you're in a deep hole, it may take some time to get out of it. So just, try and take like little incremental steps to, be 0.5%, 1%, 2% better every day, or towards your goal, and just don't give up.
Don't give up. Jamie Logan, guys, this has been great. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate the space and time too, because ultimately, Parkinson's. Like we talked about at lunch, people think about Parkinson's, and the instant thing that they think of is Michael J. Fox.
Right. Yeah.
And the funny thing is most people, if they saw me on the street and I was just standing there, they would never know I had it.
Right.
There's no look, there's no set how somebody's going to act, because one of the biggest things about Parkinson's is the way that the symptoms is different for everybody. Yeah. Unlike certain diseases or instances or injuries, everybody is the same. This is totally different. Some people have this or that or that. It runs the gamut.
Yeah, changes all the time, I bet.
Yeah, and it does. And like I mentioned earlier, based on stress, based on environmental, how you're feeling, what you're eating, just literally everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we did this.
Me too.
We'll do it, like I said, we'll do it again. Maybe we won't wait as long.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that a lot of people are really going to appreciate this, because the first one we did was very well received and touched a lot of people, impacted a lot of people. So thank you for being willing to come up and sit down and grab some lunch and get caught up a little bit again.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just say it directly to you guys. If there's any questions, please ask me. It's honestly a funny thing. And my wife and I joke, she'll be like, everybody asks me how you're doing. Yeah. And she's like, he's right there. Go ask him. Yeah. And I'm an open book. I have no problems telling people or explaining what's going on. What would I have to be ashamed of? So if there's anybody that's watching the podcast or sees it or hears it that has any questions, if you have any family members or any friends that are going through stuff, or if they have any type of issues that they're not really able to understand, certainly feel free to reach out.
You go to a support group too.
I do, at Maine Neurology.
Yep.
So it's every third Tuesday.
Yep.
So it's a great group of people, and I can't really say much more than that because it's confidential. But for anybody that, if you have Parkinson's and you're out there, Maine Neurology on.
If you know someone that has it,
yeah,
you've got questions, we'll put Jamie's contact info in the show notes, as they say, so you guys can get hold of him. He's on social. He's over to Foley's every day working out. So
yeah, so if you're there early, 5 o'clock is usually. Try to get there 5 to 5:30.
He's doing it.
Yeah,
you're the man. Love
you,
buddy.
Love you too, pal.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate being here. Guys, this has been the Summit Podcast. This is Jamie Logan. What's now going to be our most viewed episode ever, right? We're going to make a run for the top. Right?
Yeah,
we're going to
absolutely.
knock Jim Foley
Get
off.
those views in there. And click and subscribe.
Click subscribe, all that stuff. Share this out. Share it to your friends. This can have some impact on a lot of people having a conversation like this. I'm blessed to be able to do it with you. It's been fun for me to just get reconnected and just see you again. It's been a little bit, been a little while.
Too long.
Yeah, too long. We do talk, but just getting together and shooting shit, grab a bite to eat. So
it's been great. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing this. Obviously you have a vast amount of people that are on this, so it's really good just to vary the content. And
the original title of the podcast was Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things.
Yes.
And I don't know how to sum it up any better than that.
That's good.
Yeah.
And note to it.
Thanks, guys. Like it, share it. We'll be back with more with the Summit Podcast. Got more guests coming up in the coming weeks. So thanks a lot. Jamie Logan, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Later. See you guys.